All right, a very bright Tuesday morning of November, date 18, 2025. Karibu sana. This is the Morning Cafe, counting down to the end of the year. 43 days left in 2025, 37 days to Christmas. Nilikuambia kidogo kidogo tafika 25. 10, 7, 0. Mbuzi imeenda hivyo. Karibu sana. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Fred Ndimuli. A very busy day across the country. KCSE we're counting down 4 days left, including today. And today, candidates are sitting for the Business Studies Paper 1 and Agriculture Paper 1. This is the very first instance they're meeting Business Studies and Agriculture. After this, kila kitu ni Paper 2 until Friday wamalize exams. After hiyo ni sherehe. Karibu sana.
All right, it's International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Men. Against men.
Oh, finally. Yes. Nilisikia kuna DJ ni kama zabua moja mbili na mkeo.
DJ.
Kama hujasikia hiyo, we hauko hapa. It probably never happened.
There's also something else happening. It's World Day for the Prevention and Healing from Child Sexual Exploitation, Abuse and Violence. So as you can see, and of course November, we're marking 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So that is very timely. We see that one for children and then for men as well. Yes. And also for women. Yeah. But today we're talking about men and children.
Wacheni kupiga mabwana. Yes.
This is Morning Cafe. My name is Anodida.
Karibu sana. And there's a reason why we have this one here is because for traffic, before you even take a look at the papers, there's a situation on Outer Ring Road. Just before you get to Allsops, if you're coming from direction of Donholm, there's a problem there kwa hiyo drift ya pale kia Michael. So if you can avoid that place, please do. Wacha tuangazie magazeti kwanza. Hackers Paradise, that's a Daily Nation this morning. Mnajua kile kilifanyika jana.
The Standard Police bribe racket.
Kitu ya kawaida, I don't know why they're giving this prominence. Wachezeana rafu. Nakwambia, counting down to the by-elections next week ni kubaya.
People Daily, who will win the Mount Kenya vote?
The crucial factors poised to shift the race. And on the Star, a very long sentence, I need to breathe for this one. 2027 epic race, Ruto numbers against Kalonzo and Gachagua. Yes.
Finally, Business Daily, Tycoon Munga and China farm row over 4 trillion shillings coal mines.
All right, so those are the local dailies and we'll take a look at them in depth. But for State of the Nation, we'll be having these three gentlemen. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, kuzunguka Nairobi unaona tu bazenga hapa, bazenga pale kwa billboard, naambia watu waenda wachukue kura. Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui will also be with us alongside Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central. Kwa constituency yake, the former constituency hapo ndo alikuwa anaambiwa hiyo barabara yenyu ni kama 35 years later mjatengeneza. Very interesting. Later on the show?
Later on, we'll be talking about Kenya's hidden water crisis with Joel Patrick Murunga, that is the acting CEO, Regional Center on Groundwater Resource Education, Training and Research.
All right. Let's take a look at the regional papers tuone watu wanazungumzia nini. BCJ for the second day in a row is a big story on the front page of the Daily Monitor. And they say that that night in Nairobi, so yes, if you're reading this paper from Nairobi, the name Nairobi is locked up. A year after Kiza Besigye and his associate Obaid Lutale were kidnapped and reditioned from Nairobi to Kampala, details of the alleged crimes and the manner in which they were bundled home remain unclear. So they're marking 1 year. By the way, tunaona tu ni kama ni juzi. It's been a whole year.
16th November last year.
Wow. Yeah. That's when Martha Karua launched her book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the same day he was abducted, because he had come for that event. So the story is on pages 2 and 3. Yesterday we saw his wife saying that she's ready to talk to President Museveni on this issue. So what they've done inaka kama comic strip hapa of what happened. There's Waridi Paradise, where Dr. Kiza Besigye checked in to the Waridi Paradise Hotel in Nairobi. Then he and his aide Obaid Lutale were driven in a taxi to 108 Riverside Apartments in Nairobi for a meeting. Yeah. Then later they were abducted by Ugandan security operatives posing as Kenyan police officers. And then the taxi driver was just waiting for them in vain for several hours and attempted to contact them on phone, which failed. So yes, that's how it transpired. Within hours, they were already back in Uganda. The only other story given prominence on this paper iko pale chini, na hata si prominence, iko tu pale kwa inaweza kuwa ka scroll, ka strip pale chini. Museveni appoints former IGG Kamya as his advisor. That's the Daily Monitor.
All right. Still in Uganda, the new vision facial device to track teachers. Government moves to curb absenteeism in schools. Sasa kuna cha kuenda kughost work huko. Na
utumii kidole, unaenda unaonyesha sura, ndio unakubaliwa ulikuwa huko.
Yes. And the new vision is yellow kama kawaida. Museveni in Bugweri na Mutamba for campaigns. And he's here with the first lady, that is Janet Museveni. Other quick headlines: Chagulanyi, Muntu, Mafabi, comb countryside for votes.
Leo hatawajekewa ile kwa kona hapa. Wamewekewa pale bottom strip. At least hii paper inasema at least we've mentioned you.
Okay. Tense vote for MP candidates is another story there. Much as HIV and AIDS fight, Katikiro roots for community effort. And missing 15-year school girl body found. Kule juu, General Muhoozi, MONUSCO commander, discussed security cooperation in eastern DRC, and a former Umeme staff arrested over power line vandalism. That's Uganda.
All right. Across the border, Tanzania, a lot of news there about the cabinet. Samia's cabinet reset. The head of state unveils sweeping changes by moving the sensitive regional administration and local government docket back to the Prime Minister's office from the President's office, dropping 7 members of the previous cabinet and roping in 8 new faces. What she had done in her first term or tenure, she inherited the cabinet from Magufuli. So yeah, kuguza akasema sawa. Sasa amepata time yake, and this is how her cabinet is. They've painted a very nice graphic representation pale kwenye front page of the Citizen. It's a table how the cabinet will sit. Samia there and the rest of the people, starting from the Vice President, Chief Secretary, Attorney General na wengineo. Hata Prime Minister ule Mwigulu Nchemba pia ako pale, na President wa Zanzibar pia ako pale. And then how this will appear. Very many old faces still remain in cabinet, but at least 7 new members appointed to the cabinet. So this is the main story that they featured there. She has 27 ministers appointed to her cabinet, 7 ministers dropped, and they're there on the front page pale chini, sura zao. Wale wamewachishwa kazi. Pale chini, BOT, that's Bank of Tanzania, moves to strengthen consumer protection in financial sector. The main story is on page 8. On the top strip, government turns to tech to address school dropout crisis. Yes, indeed, they said almost a third of the people who enrolled into secondary school did not make it to the final examination. Out of 900,000, 300,000 did not make it to the end. So it is a crisis in Tanzania. That's the Citizen.
Gazeti la Mwananchi ni mshtuko. Samia ateua baraza jipya akiwaweka kando vigogo 7, sura mpya za chomoza, aunda wizara ya vijana, wadau wachambua uteuzi. Kulingana na Rais Samia Suluhu ambaye amenukuliwa hapa, anasema mahusiano ni kwamba atakayeshika sehemu hii ya mahusiano atakuwa na kazi kubwa ya kufanya mazungumzo na makundi na wahusika mbalimbali ili kujenga mahusiano mazuri. Mwigulu yapewa zigo la TAMISEMI. Here on the front page 27 ni idadi ya wizara zikihusisha jumuiya ya mawaziri na manaibu 57. Katika mgawanyo huo, wanaume ni 77% na wanawake 23%. Waliotemwa wafunguka, wamtaja rais. Na wanasiasa 7 waliokuwa mawaziri katika muhula wa kwanza wa serikali ya Rais Samia Suluhu Hassan hawatakuwa sehemu ya baraza la mawaziri la sasa baada ya kuwekwa kando. Lakini wanasema kwamba amezungumza. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 3, 4.
Ndio hapo wanasema bye bye wakielekea.
Chakwera ateuliwa kuongoza maridhiano nchini Tanzania. Na kule juu, ACT wafungua kesi wakipinga matokeo. Sasa hata wakipinga, anasema licha ya Rais wa Zanzibar Daktari Hussein Mwinyi kuteua baraza la mawaziri, uongozi wa chama cha ACT Wazalendo haujaamua kama utashiriki kuunda serikali ya umoja wa kitaifa, na sasa wamekwenda mahakamani kufungua kesi. Tanzania.
So they're talking about serikali ya umoja wa kitaifa. Hiyo ndio their version of the broad-based government. Ama is it their version of the grand coalition? Umoja wa taifa, SUK. Lakini sasa ACT wamesema, na ukumbuke sheria za Tanzania haziruhusu ati unaenda kuchallenge election results. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. So wanaenda wapi?
Ashakuwa sworn in.
The bus has already left. So these are some of the headlines from the region, mainly the cabinet in Tanzania. Finally, the President Samia Suluhu Hassan fixing the structure of a new administration. In Uganda, the campaigns continue, and now we'll be back, take a look at the local dailies in depth. We see what Kenyan papers have focused on. For now, let's take a look at the weather situation across the country. Yesterday, we missed out on taking a look at Homa Bay, because in Homa Bay, even as we continue taking a look at the different places where they are holding by-elections, Kasipul is in Homa Bay County. It is a rather warm day there. 18 degrees as we speak. They say it is a partly cloudy day, highs of 27 degrees. A bit of minimal precipitation, 5% expected, but the heat will continue into the weekend at 28 and 29 next week. So it is going to be warm up until the by-elections on 27th, exactly 9 days from today. 13
degrees in Eldoret this morning. It feels like 12 degrees. It's a partly cloudy day. Highs of 24 degrees in Eldoret today. Precipitation 10%. That is also quite minimal.
And it promises to get even warmer, because if today's high is at 24, now you can see by the weekend it'll be 25, next week 26. So it's just warming up. Hata wakisema partly cloudy, unaona hapa ni jua tupu. Turkana, it's been a while since we took a look at what's happening in Turkana, which is very, very warm. They say partly cloudy, but that's a lie. 26 degrees as we speak, which is actually higher. 26 is what most counties will feel as the highest. Most will not even get there. So it promises to be a very warm day. Highs of 35 degrees in Turkana. This will continue throughout the week, getting even warmer during the weekend at 36 and stabilizing at 35 next week. Very little precipitation expected there anyway.
In Nyeri, right now it's 12 degrees. Feels like it. It's a cloudy day in Nyeri, highs of 23 degrees. However, there's precipitation here today. They say 10%, but kiangalia hapa kama kutanyesha kidogo kule Nyeri. That's weather in Nyeri, highs of 23 degrees today. This will persist throughout the week. Friday, itapanda to 24, ikielekea into next week.
All right. Kilifi County is the other area of focus. Remember, they do have the by-elections in Magarini, which are also very hotly contested. It is very warm in Kilifi today. 26 degrees, feels like it. Mostly cloudy, they say, so there is a high chance of precipitation at 20%. It will definitely rain, part of it in the morning. Currently, as we speak, a bit of manyunyu there, and later on, probably around noon, and then continue with the cloudy afternoon. Highs of 30 degrees, and this will continue into the weekend and next week as they prepare for the by-elections.
Finally, in Nairobi, it's 15 degrees as we speak. It's a cloudy day here. Highs of 25 degrees. Precipitation, yes, 10%. And it will rise to 26 degrees from Thursday to kiendelea to next week, 28 degrees.
So actually by Thursday, 28, now that's a day for the by-election. All right, so Nairobi not looking so bad. All right, let's take a look at the traffic situation once more. There was that situation along Outer Ring Road. Let's see if at all it has improved. That drift, if you're coming up from Outer Ring Road heading towards Allsops, there was a problem here. There was an incident at that curve at Kiamaiko, but it would appear it has since resolved. So there's no longer a problem there, and it's green all the way from Donholm to Allsops. You can use that road. Further down that same road, it's getting busy at Pipeline and further Antasia as you head towards Donholm, but nothing out of the ordinary. Jogoo Road, Pale Makadara, it's building up slowly. It's also building up as you get close to the City Stadium roundabout. And interestingly, as you get close, as you get to Machakos bus station, on that opposite side, Mudhuru, as you head towards town, there's a long stretch of yellow. Remember, as we continue getting into the holiday, there's a lot of holiday traffic. And even as KCSE students finish their exams, some of them have actually finished. Na unajua kimaliza, hakuna kitu kingine unangoja shule. Kama ufanyi either physics paper 2, haufanyi business studies, haufanyi agriculture. Na hizo ndio exams zimebaki. Students are now already going home. So there's a lot of travel from school back home and from Nairobi and other major towns as people ship their children into the countryside. So pale Haile Selassie Avenue, pahali kuna mabasi mengi, it's quite busy around Marikiti, and a long stretch of red between the Landis Road roundabout and the Railways roundabout. Other tributaries into town are looking green. Thika Road, not so bad. At a Pangani interchange this morning is bearable. So that's a traffic situation, not so bad, apart from a bit of travel here and there, and that mostly centered in the CBD. All
right, let's have the quote of the day.
It is better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you're not.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies. So yesterday, a lot of the government websites were hacked, and that's what features on the front page of the Daily Nation. Eventually, they managed to contain the damage, but then again, I think it's quite embarrassing. Hackers' paradise, they call it here. They say cyber criminals yesterday made several government websites, including State House, inaccessible and defaced pages by altering their visual appearance and content in yet another major security breach, coming amid repeated warnings by the Auditor General about system weaknesses. The attack exposes a state's laxity and puts the data of millions of Kenyans at risk. The story is on pages 4 and 5. Now, unajua Auditor General amekaa akiwaambia, these things are very prone to hackers, lakini hawaoni. Unajua tu serikali, no one can touch the serikali. So several attacks later, audit reports are gathering dust on the shelves of many state corner offices. So this is what happened, and they've given a timeline here on the front page of the Daily Nation. In March of 2016, hackers struck KRA, allegedly leading to loss of about 4 billion shillings. Alex Mutungi Mutoko was charged as dozens of KRA officers were suspended. In March of 2022, KPLC, there was an attempted hacking of the power distributor's prepaid system, leading to delays in token purchases. A year later, in April of 2023, the Kenya Airports Authority confirmed that a group identified as Medusa breached its systems but failed to steal any sensitive data. That same year, a few months later, in July, Anonymous Sudan claimed responsibility for a distributor denial of service attack on the websites of eCitizen, public hospitals and universities. That same month, a second attack claimed by Anonymous Sudan again paralyzed websites of several ministries and departments. So you can read more on that on page 4 and 5. The government came out and said they managed to contain that situation. Whether they've managed to do it 100%, we still wait for that. So yesterday there was also the mass hiring of police officers, 10,000 police officers, but there was a low turnout, and that also features on the front page. Watu ni kama interested sana, but I saw a video of one person mwenye aliambiwa that he was disqualified because of his height. Alikuwa amekasirika sana. Akarekod video na ana shati na kuna askari nyuma yake. So nyinyi mimi ni mfupi. So there was a low turnout, disappointment that marked the police recruitment drive. And that's across the country. They were hoping to get 10,000. I don't know how many they got. That story, you can read more of it on page 2. Back to the front page. Why KNUT and primary heads oppose elevation of junior school teachers. NUT and the Kenya Primary School Heads Association have rejected a proposed administrative structure they say would allow junior school teachers, many of them fresh college graduates, to supervise or rank at the same level as experienced school heads. Where? Junior school. Safaricom to partner with Musk's Starlink. This was a big conversation. You remember was it last year when we first heard that Starlink was coming to Kenya, and the local service providers were very jittery about it. So now wameenda wakaunda deal yao. So Safaricom will partner with Starlink. Kindiki versus Gachagua, battle of the deputies in do or die poll contest. That's a big political conversation on page 10 about the by-elections coming up. On the back page, Wamboi leads Kenya 1-2 finish in men's 10,000 meters. This is at the 2025 Deaflympics. And congratulations to Ian Wamboi and David Kipkoskei. When they posed with their photos there, congratulations to the two. Elsewhere in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, DR Congo captain BAMBA stars in win over Nigeria to keep alive World Cup hopes. That's as far as sports is concerned. The Daily Nation.
All right. The Standard, police bribe racket and a hard-hitting audit has laid bare a sprawling web of corruption at the heart of the police service, exposing a system where junior officers are handed daily cash targets and Kenyans are shaken down to meet them. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission report paints a picture of institutionalized extortion from matatus and border borders to bars and city traders, with officers threatened, transferred or framed if they fail to deliver. It details bribery cartels, compromised accident investigations, extortion rings, misuse of firearms, decaying infrastructure and gaps in training, revealing a security system weakened from within. This story has been covered on page 6 and 7. Now, 1,000 shillings per week is the protection fee demanded for each vehicle. 200 shillings to 100,000 shillings is the bribes demanded per stop from matatus on Ngong Road route. Okay, 1,000 bob. Can you imagine?
Per week.
If you are supposed to give out 1,000 shillings per week, yani from your vehicle, and then that 1,000 shillings a week in Ngong Road, you're also giving out 1,000 bob, from 200 to 1,000. So sometimes you can go home without anything.
Well, in fact, police should be taxed because this is, it has almost become formalized that they have to spend this much money if you're running matatu business.
Yeah. So this story has been covered on page 6 and 7. You can take a look at it. And that's the only story covered on the front page of the Standard. Tukiangalia ndani, Marsabit thirst, women forced to trek Marsa's water sources dry up is a story covered on page 2. Kenyans still seeking answers on kin missing after Dar polls chaos. Families are in distress after relatives disappeared while traveling, studying or working in Tanzania. Next of kin have been forced to rely on civil society organization and word of mouth in their search for answers. This is another story on page 3. That story on police recruits. 10,000 recruits to join police service after 3-year hiring freeze ends, and the trainees will be recruited after enlisting moratorium came to an end. And Inspector General Kanja said the recruits will help boost security during the 2027 election. On the back page, Harambee Stars hope to shine as Senegal provide ultimate test, and Kenya lost 1-0 to Equatorial Guinea last Friday. Nabuire and Abuya upbeat as Stars face Senegal test. That's the Standard.
All right. Taifa Leo wachezeana rafu ni habari ya kisiasa hapa, imepewa kipaumbele kwenye kurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Wanasema kampeni za Mbeere North, Malava, Kasipul na Kisa East zimejaa propaganda mbaya, kupakana tope, vitisho na makabiliano hatari. Gachagua amewahimiza wakazi wa Mbeere Kaskazini kuzuia viongozi wa UDA kupiga kampeni katika eneo hilo, siku moja baada ya Gavana Marire kuomba IEBC imzime Gachagua kuvumisha mwaniaji wa DP katika eneo bunge hilo. You see, I saw one of the lawyers for UDA actually saying they're going to court, saying that Gachagua should not be allowed to campaign for the they're calling him the United Opposition candidate, but according to the lawyer says that candidate is a Democratic Party candidate. Gachagua is not a Democratic Party member and he has no business campaigning. I do not know if that even applies, but that story is on page 2. Natembea kirudi hapa Kisa Mashariki, siku nyingine tutamtoa suruali. Huyo ni fuko wa NIS. Keolofas Malala anasema hivyo. Wengine hapa Gachagua anasema tunataka kutangaza hapa kuwa siku ya kura hakuna mgeni atakubaliwa hapa Mbeere Kaskazini mpaka kura ipigwe na uchaguzi ukamilike. Ni kauli tu za watu kadhaa wakiwa kwenye kampeni. Wanasema ni kampeni zilizojaa matusi, vitisho, kudhalilishana na propaganda chafu huku chaguzi ndogo zikikaribia. The question is, will even the people of Mbeere and North Malava get to choose their own candidate or even get to choose a person they feel can do something better for them? Ama they'll be influenced by these people who are coming from elsewhere. Aya, kando na hayo, Nasir aonya wanafiki katika ODM, masuala ya ODM yazidi kuzungumziwa kwenye kurasa za mbele. Kwingineko, njia ni ipi ya gavana Orengo? Na vijana wachache walijitokeza kwa usajili wa polisi. Tumezungumzia hayo tayari. Pale juu wadukuzi wafanyia serikali ile kitu. Serikali yakiri kuwa nyingi ya tovuti zake ikiwemo ya urais zimeingiliwa. Sasa umelan a new Swahili word.
Gani?
Wadukuzi. Hackers.
Wadukuzi.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Kwenye spoti, Nigeria nje ya kombe la dunia kwa mara nyingine tena. Imagine the World Cup without Nigeria. Surely it's getting boring. But anyway, Taifa Leo.
People Daily, who will win the Mount Kenya vote? The crucial factors supposed to shift the race. And this story has been covered on page 4. They call it Battle Royale. We have President William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, George Natembeya, Fred Matiang'i, and Martha Karua. Who will win the Mount Kenya vote? Opinion, by-election start tensions as ODM faces post-Raila clash is another story on page 10. And Kuleji on the front page of the People Daily, why the Rift Valley is quiet and what it means for the 2027 political contest. That story is on page 8, People Daily.
All right, it's the same story on the front page of the Star. They still talk about the 2027 election, and they say here, Ruto numbers against Kalonzo and Gachagua, and according to this paper, the president has an upper hand if he inherits Raila's entire voting bloc. This is a story given prominence on the spread on pages 4 and 5, and they say President William Ruto could secure a slight advantage over the united opposition in the high-stakes 2027 race if he successfully inherits Raila Odinga's long-standing political strongholds. Now, according to this paper, the Star, they've done an analysis and they say that analysis shows that Ruto currently commands about 24 counties with a combined 9.22 million registered voters based on the 2022 voter roll. Meanwhile, the united opposition collectively controls about 15 densely populated counties with 8.43 million of voters. Do you agree with that analysis? Sio sisi tunasema, iko kwenye kurasa ya The Star. Other quick highlights on the front page here, the number of hungry Kenyans to increase from 1.8 million to 2.1 million by January. This is according to a report, and you can read more on that on page 16. And there's a man who's 67 years old who's been imprisoned for 22 years for stabbing a relative during a family altercation. Ukirealize kwenye wa mnakasirika sana, usiende Christmas. Pale juu, and this is an interview with Raila Odinga's former spokesperson. And he says why ODM should support Ruto. Remember, today being a Tuesday, The Star is not for sale. You can grab yourself a free copy of this one. Hata wakikupatia bei hapo ya leo ufai kulipia. Plus it comes with the complimentary MyGov pull-out for government tenders and job opportunities. The Star, fresh, independent, different.
All right, tukiendelea rakaraka, Business Daily, Tycoon Munga and China farm row over 4 trillion shillings coal mines, and the third company associated with Tycoons Peter Munga and George Karithi is locked in a vicious dispute with Chinese investors over ownership of coal mines in Kitui, with deposits estimated to be worth more than 3.9 trillion shillings. And China's fancy mining industry, Coal Limited, has threatened to file arbitration proceedings against Kenya, alleging that the government has, for over a decade, unlawfully allowed Mr. Munga and Dr. Karithi to frustrate his 21-year Mui Basin concession. This story is on page 2, and SACCO dividend cuts raise capital to record levels. Another story on page 2. On the ticker, Kenya delivers 1,795 affordable housing. And the Affordable Housing Board delivered less than 2,000 units for occupation in the year ended June 2025, making up a small fraction of the 200,000 homes annual target under President William Ruto's flagship project.
That's 1%, less than 1%. Less than 1%.
Equity funds struggle to attract investors is another story on the Business Daily.
All right, so those are the local dailies, a lot of politics about 2027 and even the by-elections coming up next week. And we'll be discussing that with these three gentlemen in studio in a few minutes' time. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, Harrison Kinyanjui, who's an advocate of the High Court, and Joe Mutambo, a former MP, Mwingi Central. Do stand by for that. Later on the show, the discussion switches. From
8 a.m., we'll be talking about this story and Hackers Paradise. What options are there at the moment. We'll be having Obar Mark, an ICT expert, for that conversation then. We will now later on have this conversation on Kenya's hidden water crisis with Joel Patrick Munga, that is the acting CEO, Regional Center on Groundwater.
Right. Tuangalie karakacha. Wachoraji magazetini wanasema nini? Maswala ya ODM still remaining on the beat by this cartoonist, and this is a cartoonist on the People Daily, and he has an orange there na imeandikwa for sale. Chungwa linauzwa pale. Star no.
Mtu anauza chungwa. This is the Star, and still ODM iko hapa, wamebeba keki ya ODM at 20.
Ile keki watu walikuwa nakula, wengine wakitema.
Watu wafai kula keki. Age, ukifika umri,
sukari mingi,
unawachana nayo. Wanauliza more years, will it survive more years? Ni swali pale.
All right, so ODM, a focus of at least 50% of the cartoons today. On the Daily Nation, the old man and the sea, that argument by Yoweri Museveni about the Indian Ocean belonging to him and how he can access it or should access it, na anasema kutakuwa na vita hivi karibuni.
Ni kweli anataka pia.
Watu wanamwangalia wanashangaa surely. Sasa hata sisi tunaweza lay claim to the forests in DR Congo or to the Nile or to Migingo on the Ugandan side or to hata yeye anatuletea nini?
Finally, the Standard. Baku to Belem roadmap, COP30.
Yeah, discussions about climate change and climate sustainability. COP30 coming up sometime next year, ama inakuja wakati gani? Some of these discussions that sometimes I think huyu cartoonist ameturusha nje kidogo because but anyway, it is a relevant conversation there on the Standard.
All right. These are the local dailies and of course regional dailies, stories making headlines. Keep interacting with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital. My handle on X is at @Ann_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47. I'm trying to see if we have feedback. But the hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
Mine on X is at Freddy Ndimuli. Keep it here. Do you have any feedback so far? So far, not, but please do interact with us and make sure you use the hashtag Morning Cafe TV47. See you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I didn't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Farika tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Farika is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni punet.
Ni punet.
Punet.
So you guys knew about...
Piga.
Sawa basi. Nasema, that gave you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday every Wednesday 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
Nitakaa hapa mpaka Karis atagaswe kama mjumbe wa Mbeere North.
In the chilly morning hours before sunrise, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua emerged for his morning walks in Kanywambora Mbeere North constituency in Embu County. Gachagua would later conduct door-to-door campaigns in support of DCP's parliamentary candidate Newton Karish ahead of the by-election set for 10 days from now.
Mungu kwa sababu Mungu halali. Mungu yule wa biguni amesema wakati ya muminji kutoa mbunge ni wakati huu.
Throughout the day, Gachagua traversed various parts of the constituency, including Muminji Ward, Nthawa, and Gatuyari, where he addressed residents.
Mimi nimetembea hapa, nimeaibika. Hapa kazi ni mingi, na Mungu amepatia nyinyi nafasi ya kupata mjumbe kutoka hapa akuja amsaidie.
In his speeches, the former deputy president urged voters to support Newton Kariuki, emphasizing that he is best suited to address the area's issues and champion their development.
Wewe Kasongo, hapa nasubua Karis, kuja shidana na Rigijidi wa rika yako. Huyu mtoto mdogo Karis anawidwa kama mnyama.
Gachagua dismissed opponents who he accused of lacking a proper understanding of Mbeere North, asserting that their campaigns are rooted in ignorance and misrepresentation.
Ruto lies with a Bible on his hands, he doesn't blink, na hana hata haya. Wasikia hivyo mimi nawaambia? Munasikia hivyo nawaambia?
He also condemned political intimidation and bribery, warning that such tactics will not influence the voters' choices.
Elimu wa JSS ati wangoje another 2 years ndio wapewe kazi permanent. Semeni shetani ashindwe. Kasongo aende asiende. Kasongo aende asiende. Jana katika mdogo, huyu mtoto mdogo Karis anawindwa kama mnyama. Roko anapitia na helikopta huko juu. Polisi wako chini. Karida yako pande hii.
They also criticized President Ruto's leadership and questioned some of the government's projects.
Panaitwa Marsabit. Hata Wakristo ni kidogo sana huko kwa sababu wengine ni Muslims. Amepeana 100 million Kenya shillings. Ile ingera ukirita jishkurushia to huko. Semeni Kasongo aende asiende.
The Mbeere North by-election has heightened political tensions in the area, with opposing camps trading accusations.
Ndio. Kasongo na Karida wanasema wataiba kura yenu. Mimi nimekuja kusaidia.
Sisi tumesema wakuja hapa waombe kura, wauze sera, wauze candidate, sio kutusi viongozi wetu. Ati unakuja hapa kutusi Rukuu, kwa nini? Ati unakuja hapa kutusi sijui gavana wa Embu, kwa nini? Mambo ya gavana wa Embu ni mambo ya kaunti ya Embu. Mambo ya nani atakuwa mbunge hapa, nani atakuwa nini hapa, ni mambo ya wananchi wa hapa. Mimi nataka kuwaambia hao wanaume, mimi nimefika hapa Mbeere North leo Chicago, na mimi niko hapa daily, every day, na wanaona tukikimya wanafikiri sisi ni waoga. I want to challenge them. I want to dare them. I am in Mbeere North. I have just arrived. I am not leaving here until the 28th of November.
Yes, clearly the focus has shifted from ODM at 20 to the by-election slated for 27th of November. That's next week on Thursday. And the hit is on. High-stakes duel as deputies battle for Mbeere North seat. That's a big discussion, and of course 23 different by-elections across the country in areas like Kasipul, Magarini, Mbeere North, Banisa and Baringo, plus Malava constituency as well, plus so many other battles for ward representation as well across the country. And this is a big discussion this morning. Questions about the heat generated by the political contest, the insults being traded, the quality of leaders that will come out of this, and the influence from without, which is turning out to be a political contest of the major parties nationwide, are not really contests for local leaders. This morning we're privileged to have with us James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, karibu sana.
Thank you.
And Wakili Harrison Kenyanjui. Karibu sana, Wakili.
Thank you very much.
And good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with this. I know we've been talking about ODM for the past 1 week or so, but now it is a week to the by-elections. All focus is there. But my question today is because one of these leaders who's been very vocal talked about the quality of leaders that get elected to the National Assembly. It would appear that in this contest, and this is across the country, that a lot of this influence is coming from the political leadership at the national level on who people should choose at the local level. It is not really down to the people of Mbeere or Magarini or Malava or Banisa for that matter. It is what does a leader at the top at the national level want? The same leaders who talk about the level of representation. Don't you think that probably it is true to a huge extent that the local voter in Mbeere, Malava and such like places has been duped completely in as far as getting the choice of leader they would want?
Thank you, Dimori. Allow me to salute viewers wherever they're watching this morning show from. And coming to the debate, it is true, these by-elections seems to be handled from the top down, because most of the candidates, you realize that most of the parties did not go to the formal nominations. It is the parties at the top who decided who will be contesting where. And that, to me, was to deny Wanjiku an opportunity to get the best. Because one, you should not dictate who should be. I think the best thing is to allow Wanjiku to make a choice and allow a free, fair, and verifiable nomination to take place. And out of that, Wanjiku will be able to pick the candidate of his desire. Going forward, we have seen now influence of these campaigns by huge resources to a tune that you can't even know where the resources are coming from. The question is, where is the source of these resources? And number two, if resources of money are the one to change or give what you call an outcome of an election, does this mean that that is the clear will of the people? To me, I think that we have gone out of order, and we have made money to be the king of the day, that whoever has money will take probably the lead in this particular exercise. I would say, yes. My big question is, does the government, number one, want to tell us that they have done everything else that requires to be done to Wanjiku, other than duping Kenyans in by-election with this huge kind of money? And if this huge kind of money can be utilized on a prudent manner, can't this money do something else better than the route this money has been taken to? And number three, does this mean that we can close businesses and take the whole government to Bele for the purpose of winning a single seat? We have seen CSs, PSs in big number, in big tune of number, all of them in the campaign trail. My big question is, have we done everything else? And what is remaining in the government side is to, one, achieve the outcome of the Bele, and especially Bele, because all guns have been directed to Bele. Number one, let me say, Idimuli, that the government is very keen to win this particular seat of Bele. And the reason why the government is so peculiar in this is that they want to make a statement that will be forced to the people, that the UDA or one head of state has not lost the glory down the Mount Kenya region. And the outcome of Bele will become a statement that if the UDA will win this seat, then obviously it will be a clear picture that the UDA still has the glory in Mount Kenya region. Okay. Therefore, it's a do-die that must win.
Yes.
The government must win this particular Bele seat. But unfortunately is that I still believe that Wanjiku is not as full as that, and it is high time that Wanjiku should choose to eat the goodies, but make the best choice at the end. So we hope that, in fact, at the tail end on 27th, yes, Wanjiku of Bele will be able to decide the right candidate, not through the influence of these goodies.
But the influence is not just coming from the government. We're seeing leaders even from the United Opposition coming from different areas and all focusing on Bele North. For example, the former deputy president is now the party leader of DP, and this has been part of the discussion by some of even lawyers from UDA. They're saying that, and I heard one lawyer saying that probably they've petitioned the IEBC to lock out Rigathi Gachagua from campaigning for this DP candidate in DCP. I don't know if that flies, but either way, the question is, because this has turned out to be a battle of the national leadership of political alignment in Kenya, where does that leave the local voter in Bele North or anywhere else? Do they ever get to choose, or do they just follow whichever party they support at the national level?
Unfortunately, no. Just to answer your question, for purposes of brevity. The foisting of a leader on a people is nothing new. It's happened all throughout history. And even when you look at what happened in the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, there were people who sat in New York, organized people, gangsters, shipped them to Russia, donated the money in the millions, and then pretended that this was a Russian revolution, just so that they could oust the Tsar of Russia and impose Stalin, impose the communist regime that they wanted. And since we have those historical lessons, we have to ask ourselves, why is the national government, the executive, so keen on projecting its agenda, its aim at asserting itself in Mbeere? And Mheshimiwa has said that the amount of money that is being poured there is extraordinary. The common person in Mbeere probably is extremely puzzled. Now, for two reasons, I would say this is happening. First of all, the projection of the national picture that UDA, if it fails in Mbeere, it will be a pointer to its failure at the national level. More importantly, because the decimation, the reduction of numbers in parliament will have hit UDA in a very central way, because remember, the seat became vacant because of the incumbent then being elevated to the cabinet. And therefore, the voice of executive should be, quote unquote, louder in terms of enticement, the lure of the electorate to the government side. But it's not happening that way. So you find that the Mbeere people have their own choice at the local level, but they're being told there is Leo Muthende for the executive, UDA. And they are being told this is your person, you elect this person. And now, unfortunately, Honorable His Excellency Gachagua is there, and I'll answer your question about whether he should be there, and there is this group of people saying that he should actually be, declared persona non grata in Mbeere and elsewhere. You find that the DCP, having said that, okay, we would like to have people who are educated, people who are preferably lawyers, who should be elected into parliament so as to articulate the legislative agenda of DCP and so on and so forth. But he climbed down, as it were, to have the person who has been elected thrice as an MCA and therefore as a legitimate candidate. So you're right to say that the political class is out there to foist, to put down on the people their choice, because they see that this is the winning horse. And therefore, let's back up this winning horse, regardless of what actually the reality on the ground. Now, I feel so sad because the IEBC, unprepared as it is, goes to these elections, the by-elections, saying that we are unable to give you people the register of voters that is current, reflective of the populace and the electorate at this period. We will go by the June 21st, 2022 register of voters. What are you telling me? There is this class of younger people that have now joined the majority age, are now 18 and above, or are just at the brink of getting to the majority age, who then should be casting their votes. But they are now voiceless, disenfranchised. It doesn't bother the IEBC. It doesn't bother that political class that is coming to foist on the Mbeere people and the rest of the other places their choices other than these people. So you're telling this person there he should fold his hands, watch the fray as it goes by, and is his constituency, her constituency, and therefore directly affecting him or her in terms of their aspirations. So you find the political class is out there machinating a person who, on the ground, the person who should be having that voice to say is totally cut off. This is most regrettable. This is what we call democracy. And you said that look at the political class then and the amount of money that is going around. It was alleged that someone in Banisa was offered 100 million from one wing of the political divide so as to exit and the political platform. And so the question is now, The person who comes in lieu of that person that has been enticed by means of this political maneuver, bribery I should add, is he the representative of the
Baringo as well?
Look at Baringo, for instance. The Baringo people then say that, oh, we want Gideon Moi in lieu of our deceased senator. And Gideon Moi then gets into, at the very last hour, to the disappointment and chagrin of his own people, what has happened to you, oh, our leader? This political hypocrisy is unfortunately what has bedeviled this country in a manner that is so injurious to our collective so-called democracy. And so in a democracy that is a sham by any and all standards, this you cannot describe to be democracy, where the electorate, the people are not given the voice, and the people who are quote elected articulated an agenda so alien to the common people, and you then have results that are totally alienated to that person. Unconstitutional, because we're told in the Constitution that Kenya is a multi-party democracy. That space has been totally constricted and decimated of what you would call political competition. Lastly, let me say this. The very unfortunate scenario that is playing out in Bahrain, you find that the UDA wing, the executive, the government wing, is more reactionary. They are not out there to push, place, or at least advance any agenda that is going to help the Mbere people. What they see is that, oh, Honorable Gachagua has done this, oh, we're going to do it, but let's try to do it double. So they are reactionary to him, instead of now saying that they are going to set the record, they are going to set the pace, and they're going to show the Mbere people, this is what you've been lacking. Or at least Honorable Roko took you up to this point, but our person now will take you farther than that. And this is what we have in store. What are they saying? But just, it's a slugfest of all these words.
And this is across board, because listening to the leadership there, and they're talking more about even in their campaigns for a candidate in Mbere, they're talking more about the national leaders. They're not talking about the candidate on the ground. No one is mentioning the candidates there. And this is what we're examining, Bwana Joe Mutambo. Allow me to welcome Joe Mutambo to the panel. He's a former MP Mwingi Central. Karibu sana. We're examining the heated campaigns as we head down on the last leg of the campaigns. In 7 days' time, the campaigns will close for the by-elections. But you're seeing what is playing out, for example, in Mbere North, and it has turned out to be not a contest at the constituency level, but rather a national war that is being played out at the constituency level. Leaders from both the government side and the united opposition going all to Mbere and fighting a battle that Mbere people may not even understand. They were just hoping to elect an MP, but they're now being entertained to national politics. Do you think that probably in that way there's a way that local voters are disenfranchised, especially when it comes to by-elections that are this hotly contested?
It's quite unfortunate because voters are not given opportunity to make their own independent decision. The decisions are influenced by so many other things. Be it state machinery, be it funds, money, be it any other thing. But voters are not left to make their decision. And this is the point where now the so-called national leaders come in, because by all standard, by-elections are used as a ruler, as a yardstick to measure whether the people have confidence with either the sitting government, because there will be a candidate for the sitting government which the government will be supporting. And in case that candidate is rejected by the people, it is perceived that people don't want the government. And so the government must employ all the machinery to make sure that they win the seat. And by doing so, they disadvantage the voters who will make a decision not based by what they want, but what they are influenced. It's like driving when you're drunk. You're driving under influence. So you can easily cause an accident. So they can easily, with these things on the table, with the money on the table, with the government on the other side, with the police this other side, with the chiefs down there campaigning and pushing and saying, you know, this is the government and we have to do this, we have to do this. So people are are confused. They don't know whether whatever you're doing is the right thing or not. And there some are saying where there's government, there's good things. So that is one of the issues which is affecting voters currently, and so to speak, the by-election which is going on. Because it is very clear that in some certain areas, the sitting government has lost grip. And not even actually certain, it's almost everywhere in Kenya. People don't want to hear this man called Honorable Samoei Ruto. They don't want to hear him. So, but he wants to prove to the world, no, people want to hear. So that is where the catch is. So if he would let the people make their own campaigns, I am a member of parliament, I'm vying for a member of parliament, he is, let's meet on the ground. President, stay there in the State House, don't come down here to tell people about what you will do. Where were you before? Why are you coming when there's by-election? You see all those kind of things.
It's the same question that is being asked on the other side, that even those who are saying the same way you say the president and other national leaders should stay away from Mbeere North. It's the same thing other people are saying, that leaders from the united opposition should probably allow the people of Mbeere North to make their decision without them coming to campaign for their preferred candidate there. Don't you think that this blame cuts across? It's not just on the side of the government.
Not only to the state, but if the state shows the way, what do you expect? If Ruto goes there, what do you expect others to do? To sit down and watch? Definitely no. They will go. And so to call them national leaders, yes, they are national leaders because they are hiring for national office, but the truth of the matter is they are not in any position. Actually, the people who are not supposed to campaign are those who are in position. All right? Those who are free, like Mutambo, I can go anywhere. I can go to Turkana and campaign there. But when somebody is seated in office and the constitution is very clear on what they're supposed to do and what they're not, then who is breaching the constitution in the first place? Because everything must be anchored within the law. Whatever I do must be anchored within the law. And I must protect that constitution. So if I sought to do so, and tomorrow I'm going against it. So who is it wrong here? Is it the person who is free or the person who holds state machinery? Because the moment you've been installed there, you have been given all the resources and everything, and you cannot use them to campaign because the president will not go there without bodyguards, will not go there without GK cars, will not go there without stipend from the State House. So who is using state machinery?
All right. And indeed, there are reports that the president will be in Mbeere North later this week to campaign for the UDA candidate for that by-election. Meanwhile, leadership from both the united opposition and the government, in fact, the Daily Nation is calling it a high-stakes duel as deputies battle for Mbeere North seat, and the deputies are the current deputy president and his predecessor, Rigathi Gachagua. Now, this story about the by-elections and how heated and how consequential they are going to be is what leads us to the discussion that's there on the front page of the Star, which talks about 2027 epic race, Ruto numbers against Kalonzo and Gachagua. It is the same story on the front page of the People Daily, which talks about how and who will win the Mount Kenya vote between William Ruto, Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi Gachagua, George Natembeya, Fred Matiang'i, and Martha Karua. It would appear, yes, and indeed it's true, that people are not focused on anything else apart from 2027. That this is not an opportunity to elect a replacement for your local leader, even an MCA. It is just for us to measure ourselves ahead of 2027. That is a dividend that is going to come from these by-elections. Do you agree that that is a plan and we should look at it that way? It's not about electing our leaders now. It's about 2027.
Idimori, you got the answer. That is the answer. And that this particular by-election, it is by all means that one, William Ruto must keep his base on foot. He must make sure that all means will be used to make sure that he's not going to lose, and especially Mbeere and Malaba. Those are two areas of concern that he's there, therefore. And when you see a sitting president compromising the son of late President Moi, the former President Moi, for a particular contest of Baringo senatorial seat, this tells you how crucial these by-elections are to him. Because if he loses Baringo, he loses Bele and Maraba. That it means his chances of clinching to 2027, the election, will be at a big tag. And therefore, he has to do all means to make sure that he will win those positions. But the battle remains to the public, because the public, at the end of the day, money will be brought, money will be circulated, but there is one thing that will remain, that nobody who will be denied to vote his choice at the ballot. And therefore, I still believe that there is a chance for Kenyans who are facing these by-elections a room to make their choice. No matter how strong the influence will be, at the end of the day, you will walk to the ballot alone, and it will be a secret ballot. And therefore, still Wanjiku, if Wanjiku is serious to take this government home, he must make sure that he do the best and do the needful at the ballot stage. Money can be duped even at the D-Day of the balloting. But once you move to the ballot box, make sure that Wanjiku, you do the best, you make your choice. One, let me say, it will be an embarrassment for a president who is sitting and who is seeking for the election. One, he wants to gauge himself in two regions. These are one Western region, and that's why Malawi is very crucial. He wants to gauge himself. How is the feeling of Western region? Bele is another crucial position to him, that he wants to weigh himself. Has he totally lost the grip in Mount Kenya region? And the outcome of these particular by-elections are something that nobody should ignore politically. It will make what we call political mileage, and therefore, whoever will win this battle will have a...
What would it mean, for example, if the UDA wins Mbeere North for the united opposition? What would that mean?
In fact, that will cement Kidiki's position. If UDA wins Mbeere by election, Kidiki is safe. If the UDA loses the Mbeere seat, then the chances of Kidiki to be the running mate in 2027 is 50-50.
All right.
So it will be in balance. It is do die for Kidiki to win that particular seat. Failure to that, it will be difficult for his
The Star has done an analysis of the chances that these top candidates do have, and they're pitting President William Ruto against a combination of Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua on the front page. And they say, this is their main story on a spread of pages 4 and 5, that the president has an upper hand if he inherits Raila's entire voting bloc. And this is the analysis, that President Ruto could secure a slight advantage over the united opposition in the 2027 race if he successfully inherits Raila Odinga's long-standing political strongholds. Analysis by this paper shows that Ruto currently commands 24 counties with a combined 9.22 million votes, registered voters, based on the 2022 voter roll. United opposition, meanwhile, has been given about 15 densely populated counties with 8.43 million votes. Do you agree with that analysis?
No.
It's been conducted by the Star.
Absolutely no. I don't agree. To me, that's propaganda. I mean, like, by what metric do they measure the... Again, we come to the issue of the average person on the ground. The sentiment of the average person on the ground is that, look, I don't want a further 5-year period of the oppression, the hardship, the economic difficulties that I'm enduring, going through is one thing, enduring is another thing. During this period, I cannot tolerate a re-election of this government, at least not with the present economic and social conditions that are prevailing. So you then hear that, President Ruto is commanding this, you have to ask yourself, where do these statistics come from? I mean, like, what were the analysis?
They've listed here 24 counties, and mostly from the Rift Valley.
Yes.
Nyanza, and they say if he inherits Nyanza, places like Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay, Migori, places at the coast, Mombasa, Kilifi, Kwale, Tana River, Northeastern, they've given it to him. Interestingly, Kakamega, Vihiga, and Busia from Western Kenya, they've listed under President William Ruto. And places like Narok, Samburu, and Bomet. What do you disagree with there?
Which is why I say that's speculative, entirely speculative. There have been these forays by DCP, for instance, in Narok, and we will see the by-election there. If Masikonde in Narok, for instance, ends up trumping the opponent, the UDA opponent, of course, then you will have that theorizing by the Star newspaper, saying that Narok is a bedrock of Ruto. I mean, that's not true. Vihiga, I mean, it's the same language. But coming down to the inheritance, as it were, of the political base that was commanded by the deceased Raila Odinga, I mean, that you cannot even guarantee. Why? Because of two things. Number one, the present sort of sentiment of the common person, regardless of the political affiliation, ODM, UDA, DCP, blah, blah, political party, whatever it is like that individual is no longer leaning towards the political party. Remember, the political head of ODM has exited the scene where he could probably say, this is the way we should go, and, the way, not too long ago, his, acolytes were busy saying, Baba says he's, that's not the same case. And so Ruto doesn't have that similar sort of force or influence on the rest of the population, as you would say Raila had. So for Vihiga, I mean, that's a projection which is too speculative. The Luya people, as it were, you can see, they are on a political ascendancy in the sense that they want their own voice. Even if you don't see the sort of unitary voice that you hear, for instance, in Central, you can see Honorable Natembeya in his own way, unless, of course, then he decides to side with UDA and those murmurs that, he is doing it. In Mombasa, the coast, you heard Honorable Joho, even though he's a CS, and he should never have been at the ODM podium, lamenting in the manner that he was lamenting, that, if you push me out, I'm going to make sure that you're out of ODM and so on and so forth. I think the feeling down there at the coast will gravitate towards their own political party. The way Honorable Kingi has been asserting that, look, it is time that we had our own voice, politically speaking, and you will see, in my humble view, a hemorrhage, a leakage of the ODM, followers, moving from the ODM at the coast, either joining the prominent political parties there or maybe forming their own. But as for the strength of the ODM at the coast, for instance, going on, as it were, with Raila, and therefore being an open basket for, as it were, Ruto to inherit, zero. That's not possible. Okay. It's not going to happen.
But we've just been talking about the kind of influence that an incumbent has, even on the voting patterns of a constituency like Mbeere North, the kind of money that can be poured there, state machinery and all this. If we look at it that way, even at the national level, the contest might just turn out the same way. That come 2027, the president will still remain very influential, and he's leaving nothing to chance. He's been in Ukambani, fine. On this list, they give the counties of Ukambani on this other side, Makueni, Machakos, and Kitui, but the president has spent a week there before he went to the coast for the ODM at 20. He was in your the constituency you formerly represented, and he did not have very nice words for the leaders who've been there before. But can you really ignore that kind of influence, that the president can come there, launch a few government projects, and in that way influence the voting?
I have news for Ruto. He can camp in Ukambani for 1 year, not 1 week. You can go there and camp for 1 year and pour all the money he sold eggs and chicken, if he made money from that business. But he will not get any vote from Ukambani. Take this to any nearest bank. It doesn't matter which one. He will not get nothing from Ukambani. I tell you this, because I come from there, and I understand that region very well, and I understand those people very well. There is nothing for Ruto. Whatever was left for Ruto is gone completely. So it doesn't matter. And I want to remind you, campers are the one who are represented by Mulinge and Aaron Mwau. And Aaron Mwau did a lot of work there. He put power lines, he put tarmac roads. And when he went to remind the people what he did, do you know what they told them? They told him, you brought the road, take it back. You brought the power lines, remove them. We are not voting you. So the same thing. Ruto, it doesn't matter who he goes into bed with in Ukambani. For him, it's finished. Going back to Star, I don't know where these people get their numbers and what do they think and whether they go deep apart from the face value of Mombasa as these votes, and it is for Ruto, without going deep. What made ODM become strong in Mombasa? I would be interested to know why. And if numbers is anything to go by, IBC has done something very good actually in their list of voters in every county. Actually, they go further. Although we say let us not be tribal, but they go further and say in Mombasa, Mijigenda, this number, Luos, this number, Kambas, this number. Why don't you take that list and check who commands the votes for Mombasa, who has the highest number, and that who has the highest number, they align it to who? Then now you give that candidate that number. Come back to Nairobi, okay? Ask yourself, take that, don't take Mutambo's list, take that list from IBC. They have registered, Kukuyos are this number, Kambas are this, Luos are this. So take that list and analyze it and now give each candidate appropriate portion of the people who support that candidate. Then you will come up with the big numbers. And when you say that if we inherit the Raila's voting block, I want to tell him Raila had almost 1 million votes from Central. 1 million. It's gone. He had 1-point-something million from Kambani. Raila, it's gone. He had almost, I don't know how many, 600,000-800,000 from Coast. It's gone. So when you give Raila, you give Ruto cost, I don't know you are giving him under what basis. When you give him Mombasa, Nairobi, I don't know you are giving him Nairobi under what basis. When you give him somewhere like Kajiado, okay, you need to understand the dynamics of Kajiado and who are the main voting bloc. The main people who live in Kitengela. And who are those people who live in Kitengela? Before you just go on illusion and say, this is a block for so and so. Find out the people who are there, who they support and where they come from.
Should we use the results of the upcoming by-election to do this analysis? If we say, like, for example, if Magarini goes to UDA, should we say therefore that, okay, fine, Coast has gone to UDA?
No, you see, when you say Coast is big. Because there's Tana River, there is Kilifi, there is Mombasa, there is Kwale. There's Taita. Those are Kwale counties, coastal counties. So you cannot gauge with only one place. And after all, you see there's a difference between presidential candidate and the member of parliament candidate. As much as people are trying to gauge that with the national, I will not do so. Because there's somebody who comes from my place who will vote for me. It doesn't matter which party I'm in, but they will not vote for President Ruto. That is clear. So people in Mbeere, they may like a candidate irrespective of their party, but they know there is one person they hate and they will not vote for. Mm-hmm. That is the president, and I don't have any fear to say that. I know people of Ukambani, they can vote for any candidate. It doesn't matter which party they are in. But when it comes down to that top seat, I know they will not vote for Ruto.
And he insulted Kalonzo.
That's the thing.
He insulted.
The man has gone rogue. A person who has a national symbol of unity, he has gone rogue. Speaking vulgar languages, calling people names, saying, I don't know what he's suffering from. Because as a president, there are things you resist from. You don't just talk anyhowly, and you don't just say things any way you want to say them. Mr. Ruto, please come back to your senses and remember, you are the president of the Republic of Kenya. You are not an MC of Matopeni ward, whereby you can say anything and you can engage in fist anywhere with anybody. Please, you are the president of the Republic of Kenya. Calling leaders names. These leaders will be your leader tomorrow. And that I wonder, I'm not actually surprised by the turn of event. This is the same man who was calling Raila Muganga. Now he claims to be more ODM than even those who are there. He claims, so we can see what kind of a person we are dealing with.
Okay. Bwana Gakuya, I can see Nairobi is listed among the battleground zones in this analysis by the Star. Do you agree? I can see you have a copy of the Star in front of you there. Do you agree with the listing here about what kind of counties have been, according to this analysis, put on the side of William Ruto and what is left for the others?
First and foremost, let me say, the one who did this analysis, he has tried to do some political mathematics. But I have a big question on areas like Vihiga, Kakamega, areas to do with Narok. I have issues to do with areas like Mombasa. And also, there is one area that I want also to talk about. Nobody will try to think that compromising a section of ODM or an ODM, it means you will take the whole base of Runyaza. That I can tell you, take to the bank, it will not work. It won't work, and it will not work. What will happen is that William Ruto will get his portion, but others will also get their portion. So areas that we may completely say that William is comfortable, will be comfortable with. One, even though we bring areas of Rift Valley, don't forget that in the Rift Valley, there is a community here which nobody is trying to analyze and talk about. And this community is there in big numbers. And I will tell you, as much as you put 8.4 million from this sector, in Rift Valley, the official position, they will garner like 2 million in Rift Valley itself. So this mathematics of Rift Valley is long. Number two, come to Nairobi. Nairobi, it will be an opposition zone. Taking concern, go to the numbers. And numbers are very clear. There's a community who commands 840. There's another community commanding 365. Right on the onset. And let me tell you, in terms of Western region, in Nairobi, it will be a split. And therefore, nobody will take it whole. It will be split. Even the Nyanza in Nairobi, Ru Nyanza in Nairobi, it will still a split. So in Nairobi, take home that the opposition will take more, over 60%. And
so that is one county that should be taken towards the side.
It has to be taken to the other side. Isiolo, Marsabit, these are no doubt. These are gone zone. These are opposition zones. I don't care about Marsabit, Garissa, and Wajir, but Isiolo and Marsabit, they are also counted not at the battlefield. Those are gone areas. There are areas like Lamu. Lamu, there is no doubt. It's a gone zone. It's a gone zone. There's no doubt. I'm telling you, if a particular community there would like also to clinch the governorship, they will take it. Don't forget that there's a community with the senator and a member of parliament in the same, and the women rep in the same area. So if they have numbers even to garner for governorship, and therefore Lamu should not also be anywhere around there. It's not a battle zone. It's a gone zone. And Trans Nzoia is a gone zone. There's no doubt. I am sure that there are some numbers from Rift Valley there, but the numbers will not even shrink to bring Trans Nzoia as a battleground. It's a gone ground. And Bungoma is, therefore, I think Bungoma is a battleground. That I have no doubt. That because of one speaker, it can be a battleground. That I have no question. But in terms of numbers, the numbers as they are here, I can tell you, William, out of these numbers, he will garner less than 6 million.
All right. I want us now to focus on one of the biggest stories and one of the biggest discussions that has dominated headlines for the past 1 week or so. And this is about ODM and the future of the party. They were marking their 20th anniversary this past weekend. It was a 4-day celebration and the president was there. A lot of comments, a lot of discussions, a lot of bickering and divisions were made visible on a national platform. Let's watch that story about where the president attended the dinner who found us and what that meant, and so that we can come and discuss what this means for politics, with the second biggest party in terms of parliamentary strength now facing a simmering crisis.
After a stormy weekend that laid bare the battle for ODM's soul during the party's 20th anniversary celebrations, ODM braved Kilifi's scorching heat at Karisa Maitha grounds, where mounting internal pressure finally pushed the party to announce a special sitting early next year, a meeting expected to review its ties with President William Ruto as the country edges toward 2027.
Wherever I go, iwe asubuhi, iwe mchana, iwe usiku, wimbo wangu itakuwa 10-point agenda. Ikifika mwezi wa 3, tutaulizana kwamba tumefika wapi na hii 10-point agenda. Kama hiyo yote imetekeleza, we have no problem about 2027. But 2027 bado. Wacha tufanyie wananchi yale mambo wanatarajia wafanyiwe.
The planned meeting is being viewed as a crucial step toward mending rifts between the two rival camps, fighting over ODM's leadership direction and its ties to the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Together tutafika Canaan. Baba alijua lazima tushikane. Tunaweza kutofautiana kwa mawazo. Huyu aseme nataka hivi, mwingine aseme nataka hivi. Lakini mimi ile ambayo imenifurahisha, kila kiongozi ndani ya chama wamesema watakuwa wa mwisho kuachia chama ya baba ianguke chini.
Msije mkamwaibishe baba 2027 akashangaa kuona viti zote zimeenda kwa sababu ya kiburi yetu, kwa sababu kutokujielewa, na ametuelekeza tufuate huo mwendo. Ametuacha ndani ya broad based, tunakaa hapo ndani, twabambania hapo ndani mpaka tuone tuko ndani ya serikali. Ama vipi wana Kilifi?
During the final day of the ODM interdenominational prayer service, the party leadership was also pressed to bring ODM cabinet secretaries and Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro into the ODM Central Committee.
Letu ambalo tunaomba hapa leo, Mama Gladys, ile Central Committee, naomba ipanuliwe na nafasi ya Gideon Maitha Mungaro ipatikane pale.
But tensions flared when Mombasa woman representative Zamza Mohammed stirred controversy after openly calling for Secretary General Edwin Sifuna's removal.
Sisi tunamwambia Sifuna, wewe kama hutaki kukaa kwa chama, wewe shika njia uende. Lakini huwezi kututoa sisi ndani ya chama. Wapwani tutakaa na chama cha ODM.
Inawezekana. The prayer service soon morphed into a full-blown campaign stage for Magarini by-election candidate Harrison Kombe.
Lakini mnajua pale Magarini ndio nimekataa, kwa sababu kuna ule jamaa kila akisimama kwa mtandao alikuwa anatuambia andwai tu. Sasa mimi nauliza watu wa Kilifi, yule jamaa alisema ndiye kusema Mlima Kenya, na hapa Kilifi kusema ni nani?
Despite ODM pulling apart on its continued stay in the broad-based arrangement, the party faces a litmus test in the next 10 days to deliver the Magarini parliamentary seat and prove it's still a force to reckon with in a post-Odinga era. Apul Kamau, TV47 in Kilifi County.
All right, yes, that's a discussion we want to get into. The party that has been probably the most consequential in the last 2 decades of our politics. Now we see this playing out on a public platform 7 days to the next by-election. What does that make you feel? And do you feel that this will still be the most consequential party in 2027?
No, absolutely not. In my humble view, the fracturing of ODM is inevitable. It will fracture, come what may. The forces, the internal forces of disintegration are at play. You can see that. Even the donning of their color orange, you see they came in dressed up in different attire, you know, The coloration is that it speaks volumes. The body language is out there for you to decode and see that everybody is now scattering for the security, the securing of their own political spaces. No longer is he who was there as a glue, as it were, available. And from the other side of the dead, he cannot now, with tremendous respect, influence how the unity of the voices will be projected. You hear even Honorable Mungaro saying that, oh, you know, we have someone from the Central who's a kingpin, as it were, who is our kingpin down here. And you can hear also some people saying, oh, you need to expand the executive committee of the ODM so that then you accommodate us down here. And then you hear some other person saying that, no, you, Honorable Sifuna, you better watch out. If you are going to try and rock ODM, even though he's expressing sentiments, which probably the majority hold, I'm not certain about that, and it's almost like a veiled threat that, look, you will probably need to pack up and go. And what was actually at play, you know, during the official celebration in Mombasa, you could see Honorable Joho himself coming out, you know, openly in a very ballistic, I don't want to say combative way, to say that, look, I want to maintain my political space. Even though he's a cabinet secretary, even though by law, the Leadership Integrity Act forbids him from, you know, expressing any political affiliation or, you know, getting on the stage as he did. Let us not forget that the ODM has been a beneficiary of the political party's fund for the longest time. Actually, the huge chunk of that fund has been gobbled up by ODM. And you do not see a reflection of what the law demands, the usage of that money, you know, to be employed on the part of the ODM. In fact, if you look at the Auditor General's report, 2023-2024, the most current on it, there is a lamentation, even for instance, the usage of 75 million by Jubilee political party was without the audit and during the pendency of the court case that was, you know, pitting the leadership. But the political party fund in the specific case of ODM, in my humble view, has been embezzled. It hasn't been utilized for the function now of making it more of a national party in the absence, and this is very important, in the absence of the Honorable Raila. They did not have the succession in mind all throughout this period. It's almost like they immortalized him in a way that they never visualized that he would get to a point that they would need a successor with equal, you know, force, influence, and capability to bring the cohesiveness of the political party known as ODM into the future with the same sort of effect as when Raila was there. So that shortfall, in my humble view, is what will lead to the fragmentation of ODM. And while at the same time, with the assertion by these individual politicians who want to say, I'm the kingpin here, I am the kingpin there. Now, weighed against the force of UDA, and in particular what we saw play out during this dinner celebration, you find that William Ruto is very keen on somehow managing, taking over, or at the very least, having these, you know, strings that he can pull like marionettes for his own political machination in order, as it were, to inherit that political base. Will he succeed? So I'm saying, when now you factor that in, and there is this faction of the ODM politicians who see that that intrusion comes to dilute the visual perception of the average Kenyan person of the ODM's policies and stand as now having merged with the government, tainted as it is, anti-people as it is, anti-progression as it is, with all the ills that are attributable or attributed to UDA, then you find that the faction in ODM, seeing an enemy in UDA, will not tolerate or have that. So that, in my view, is what will lead to this fragmentation. And ODM can no longer then have that, you know, stalwart political party as it did in the past. That past, in my humble view, is gone for ODM.
And most pundits do agree that, yes, ODM definitely is in crisis and could simply end up scattering in different ways. But there could be one beneficiary of this. And I know you said, Bwana Mutambo, that probably inheriting Raila's base may not be that automatic for President William Ruto. But he looks poised as probably the automatic beneficiary of a split in ODM. That with all this insecurity among the top leadership of ODM, most of them would want to cling onto someone who's powerful right now. And the only powerful person is William Ruto right now. Don't you think that, yes, him being at the dinner, as all these fights play out, he stands to automatically inherit this offensive, as it were?
You know what you need to put in mind is that Kenyan political parties, they belong to individuals, despite having members. And the individual who had influence in ODM is not there. That means ODM is not there. We have people who are now fighting to take leadership of ODM. But will they manage to unite it the way Raila did? The answer is no. Do these people have influence to sway the voters to go their way? The answer is no. The people you see there on top, they have three enemies. Enemy number one is their opponent, who have been disadvantaged all through because of Raila's support. Enemy number two is the voters themselves, because they know this man has been sitting on us because of Raila's influence. Enemy number three is Ruto himself, because anybody who touches Ruto, he has got no touch with the Kenyans. So those enemies are with the top leaders. And my colleague, Hewanga, I like her very much because she's a sober person. But the direction she has taken, okay, that will ruin our political career. Because the people, from where she comes from, I know most of them. And I talked to some. They are very agitated by the route she has taken. Because she's someone who was very well respected. But having taken the route of supporting Ruto 100% and disregarding the feeling of the people down there is another thing. When Baba was alive, Baba could come and tell people Sifuna is doing the right thing. What was the right thing that was being done by Sifuna? Which people in ODM could not read Raila's mind and what Raila was trying to tell them. You know, sometimes you don't have to listen to what you are telling me. I listen to what you are not saying. Sometimes you have to listen to what someone is not saying. Why did the ODM members listen to what Raila was not saying and understand, even though Raila was with Ruto, he was there just for the peace of the country, but not because he loved Ruto that much. If Raila was to live beyond 2027, I will tell you the narrative you will hear from Ruto is totally different from what you are hearing now. Mm-hmm. So in my view, Ruto is taking advantage and is celebrating the death of Raila. That's why you see him mingling with the ODM members, calling them this, telling them that, that is what he's doing. And because he knew if Raila was alive today and Raila says, no, me and Ruto, we were only partners because we wanted peace, but now we are in an election. Sasa mtu anacheza mpira pande yake. That will be a different ball game altogether.
Don't you see him as probably the most immediate beneficiary of this ODM fallout or lack of direction? Because probably in a few months or in a few years, they may gain direction. Right now, they have none. Don't you see that William Ruto is the automatic beneficiary of that?
No, because you see ODM, Raila, had support base across the country. Across. He had support base in Ukambani. He had support base in Mount Kenya. For anybody to garner 1 million votes from Mount Kenya is not easy. He had support base from Nairobi. He had support base from Mombasa. He had support base from all over. Now the song we are hearing today is only support base of one region because they have 2 cabinet secretaries. Don't forget the areas with more. Mm-hmm. And they are not talking. They are quiet. All right? Don't forget Mombasa also has a cabinet secretary from there. And they are quiet. It's only one man who is talking. The rest, they are not dancing to that tune. Why? We need to ask ourselves, why are they not behaving this way? Those who are in the seat eating are the one talking. If I am the cabinet secretary for Ruto's government, I will not be singing, I will not be drumming my drums. It is the people from where I come from who will show gratitude to the president. But are the people from Mombasa doing so? The answer is no. Are the people from, I don't know where ODM came from, are they doing so? The answer is no. So if it is only two, and actually they are the one who are speaking for themselves. When I hear Band speak, he only speak how he is going to remain on broad base. I don't know, he envisaged to remain there for how long. I don't know. And he's a very bright man. Okay. I don't understand what gets to people when they get power. Man, like, although Opio is a little bit not moderate, not that shouting like the rest. So you wonder, these people are saying they are in broad base. Which only two people, and then you are shouting more than any other region? I mean, compare the votes of Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, and other Kenyans, those who are quiet and those who are making noise. It is only that region alone. So we need to understand that Ruto is not a beneficiary of fallout. Actually, it will be other people.
All right. When it comes to the ODM support base, Nairobi was seen as one. ODM has remained as perhaps the most dominant party in Nairobi, even at the county assembly level, the number of MPs that they've had over time. And this was because of the cosmopolitan nature. They came from different communities. We cannot say that this was a community party in Nairobi. Do you see that changing now? Is it that automatic?
It is completely. You know, one thing, let us give credit for it serves. Let's all agree that Caroso was playing a big role in Raila's dominant basis. One is Nairobi. Because Nairobi, in terms of voting bloc, Kamba votes are more than Luo votes.
How come that does not reflect in the county assembly? Wiper Party does not have as many members as ODM.
There is a reason why. A combination of Western and Nyanza always gives the majority. But I can tell you for sure in terms of numbers, in Nairobi, Luyas are the majority. Luyas are the majority?
The people from Western Kenya.
In Western Kenya. The majority voters in Nairobi are Mountain, followed by Western, followed by Eastern Kamba, followed by Luo Nyanza. And going to Kisii around 160 there. Those are the numbers within the city. And minus Kisii and Kamba at this particular time, it will be very difficult for anybody.
Because we're talking about the parties, and some of them come from different communities and join up to form ODM without necessarily looking at individual communities. But the fact that Wiper, you're saying the kind of influence that Wiper has.
There is a point that you cannot ignore. Because the kingpins plays a lot of level of politics. So you should not ignore kingpins. Wherever a kingpin stands, it commands a certain area. And that constituency, you can't ignore it. No matter whether we shall not name it in terms of...
But look at a constituency like Embakasi East, for example, where the MP is an ODM MP, but most of the people there are predominantly from a different side of town or a different region, not necessarily Luo Nyanza or Western Kenya. How do you explain that?
I can explain. Because the dominance there, minus one community who is the largest community, the other communities combined, gives the numbers.
Yes. So people in Nairobi do not necessarily vote by community. It was by party.
I am telling you, there is one thing that you are not going to ignore idimally. This also happens in the what we call the city political arithmetics. You can't ignore that. It happens. But there is areas where candidates matter. Who is who? Mm-hmm. Who is who? Who can be garner a crossboard support? But largely, and especially in the areas of MCAs, go down and do your arithmetics. You see whether there is a party line, there is also a community line down there. So those elements, you should not ignore them. They also play part. And I'm saying, in city today, as much as ODM, you cannot ignore it in the city. This time, it is not going to command. It is going to be underdog.
Someone else will be bigger.
Someone, of course. The combination of what we call united front of opposition. It will carry the day in the city.
All right. Interesting.
There's something I want to add there,
yes,
which is very key. But people have been asking, why is it that ODM has so many members in Nairobi and not the Kambas? And I remember...
Not Wiper Party.
No, not Wiper, sorry. Yes. Not Wiper. I'll tell you this. In every election, there is always a negotiation between the coalition parties. And Kalonzo has been so accommodative to Raila that in many areas, especially in Nairobi, he could sit ground and leave ODM candidate to run so that they don't feel a Wiper candidate. Actually, I think the last election, they had very few areas. The rest were given to ODM because Raila demanded. That one I know very well because I'm privy to the information. Like areas like Mbakasi, where Babu is, that they told Wiper don't vote any candidate, and even if somebody want to run with Wiper, but our support as a coalition will be for this person. So where the coalition shows the support, that is where the member used to come from.
Has now changed. Has it now changed?
It has changed.
Is he going to assert that this is Wiper now? I am the kingpin of the Kamba people, and therefore I'm commanding, directing you, the Kamba people in Nairobi, vote Wiper. Is that now the position?
The position will be the agreement between the coalition of the opposition, what they agree. That we cannot ignore that.
But that takes us back now to the original situation. That we say that the electorate, the person on the ground, the real voter, the beneficiary or the victim of this...
I think we've already agreed it's no longer down to the voter. These decisions are made.
That's the problem. And that's why you see, person I respect so much like Gideon Moi, he could sit ground. This is a person who could not see eye to eye with the Ruto. Okay? And he's a man who was actually the people of Baringo love up until today. And they wanted him to vie as their senator. What happened? You see, those are the kind of scenario which now deny the voters their right.
Because we were discussing now ODM's strength going forward. With the kind of divisions we're seeing at the national level of the party, will this play down here? Because the support for the party is still strong. The divisions may be there at the party level. Do you think they will play down to the local assembly level?
Absolutely, I think so. First of all, Mheshimiwa said that because of the backing, and of course, Tambo also pointed out, because of the backing of Raila that was there for these individual candidates, and he made a very pointed, a heavy point by saying that, look, that backup is no longer there. And so these politicians are now, quote unquote, on their own, and I do not think, in all fairness to them, they have that political mettle and the strength, the backbone, by means of which then to go on their own, assert on the ground that I need you to re-elect me as a standalone candidate because of my political stand or whatever it is. Look at now what is happening to ODM's so-called radicals. When Honorable Babu Owino stood in Mombasa and he said that, well, this probably may be the last address that I'm going to address you, I don't know how weighty that statement is, but he was saying that if I'm called to go back to the streets, I'll go back to the street. And Honorable Rengo, His Excellency, the governor, said that, look, we are not going to be sold fear. If it means that we go back to the street, we'll go back to the street. And let's not forget that we have the numbers in the National Assembly. And so you have these, quote unquote, radicalized, the original face of ODM that, look, there will be, as if he takes that anti-government, if he takes going to the street, they will do it. So that faction is probably going to be asserting itself and saying that, look, hey, I don't want to say throwing their weight, but this is the political confidence they have, and probably they will project that political confidence. Honorable Babu Owino, for instance, and His Excellency Rengo, as standalone political figures, but who will then say that I am ODM, I'm a living ODM. So they will, in my view, attract they who will gravitate towards them as a faction in ODM. So that may also attract MCAs or candidates in MCAs who will then enable that sustenance, as it were.
So ODM may not really be done in Nairobi. Let me still get some.
In Nairobi, it may not be done, especially when you look at Babu Owino's political ambition for the governorship. He has expressed this.
Okay. All right.
And he may probably pose some challenge to...
He does not agree with that. But allow me...
No. It's a proposition open to his interpretation.
Because of time,
yes.
I want to give you each about 3 minutes for your final comments. Of course, there's a big one. We'll be having a big discussion about the hacking after this at 8 a.m., about the hacking of government websites. That's one conversation that definitely we wouldn't pay a lot of time to on this section. But there's also what you're expecting later in the week with the State of the Nation address by the President, and his legislative agenda. He's already talked about the infrastructure fund that he wants to talk about. And he said, don't worry about where the money is going to come from. Leave that to me. You just enact the law. Final comments. 3 minutes.
On that particular area, let me wind up by saying the political arithmetics of the ODM. Don't forget that it has not been, ODM has always been in an election with what we call a particular coalition. And that coalition has been always supporting it to get majority numbers. In that particular coalition, minus Wiper and minus GAPK, then you just you can straight away see that there is a crack there and there is an injury there. And coming to what the president is coming to address the nation, I'm sure he has nothing new to tell the nation. He has expressed himself on taking this particular country to what we call the first world. And from that world, I have no problem with that. And he has given figures which are amounting to 4.5 trillion Kenya shillings. One, I want him to account the already 3 trillion he has borrowed since he came to power. The 3 trillion is amount of money that Kenyans should see quite a tremendous development. We have not seen it. And therefore, his dream of taking this country to first world is still a big way to go. But this time around, he will be able to praise many carrots as possible. He has made sure that this country is starving financially, economically, but money is with a particular person. And therefore, dishing out will be an issue where everybody is hungry to get cash. And therefore, it will compromise majority of Kenyans through that cash because of the scarcity that we are in.
Do you think that, for example, now that Raila Odinga is no longer there, that President Ruto now enjoys the unchecked influence of members of parliament across both UD and ODM?
Well, let me say that money still is a big key in what you call political control. And William is very smart on how to spend your cash. And therefore, still have a way to maintain and still hold the ODM fraternity in the floor of the House.
Okay. Thank you, Bwana Gakuya. Wakili, you go next.
Thank you. I think my huge concern is about the hackers' paradise that we see here and what happened. And I'm shocked and I'm surprised that the government has not even seen that this is a national threat. How do you migrate services that you can get onto a platform you do not own, you do not control, and you have absolutely no backdoor control? And you call foreigners who are located in Israel to come and put up this for you, and you do not see that this is a problem that you're creating for the takeover of your nation, and you're telling us everything should be digitized, and you do not have a backup system. What does this portend to us as a people? The attack, in my humble view, is orchestrated. It was designed, because if it was, you say this was hackers in, quote unquote, organic intervention, then you would see the judiciary should have been equally affected. The NTSA system should have been equally affected. But these are only select, just a few. This is what that leader of the World Economic Forum, known as Klaus Schwab, in his book known as the Fourth Revolution, stated that there is going to be a cyber attack, what they're calling a cyber polygon. And for what purpose? so that then they create the necessity for all of us to have a more secure digitized system, so that if you heard Elon Musk saying that you will get rid of your phone, you need to become the unit yourself. And they started that already by digitizing the human being. So now they even have the acolyte called Yuval Harari saying that you can hack the human being. So the fact that they can hack your systems, what does that mean for you as a country? It means you're not in control. It means, this is in my humble view, neo-colonialism par excellence. This is the best exempling of how we are so vulnerable. We've given up our sovereignty. And I always say that the African nations ought to come together and say that let's control our own cyberspace. Lastly, you find there is a little story here that nobody's even talking about, that Elon Musk has now ganged up, come together with Safaricom. And initially there was a communication authority fight that, filtered over that. And what has happened for this deal to happen, to play out? Vodacom is a foreign company that has shares in Safaricom. So in my humble view, this is a neo-colonialism where you are operating a system here to govern your people under e-citizen. You have absolutely no control. And you have the illusion of freedom, that you are free. Try to access their website. In the UK, for instance, in the US, you cannot access their website, but they are free to access your information here and tell you, do your e-procurement. So let us know who is there. They follow your everything. You no longer have the privacy. So I'm saying the so-called commander-in-chief, in my humble view, is still fixated with the physical spaces and the military. And this is the new space that ought to be protected, in my humble view, the cyberspace. Yes. Your data is out there free to be traded, and that's a new oil, they say. Yeah. So if it's a new oil, we ought to preserve it. And it's so brazen how they tell you that it's suspected to be PCP at Kenya. Excuse me, you know the hacker? And you're not doing anything about it? Lastly, I want to say, this, in my humble view, they who are behind the so-called hacking software, like Pegasus, who are located in Israel, are behind this. And then they come and tell you that, oh, we need to give you a solution. And yet they are fixing backdoors there to access your data, to control you. And when they want, at the turn of a switch, they turn you off.
Thank you for that. We've just been granted a few more minutes, so I'd want us to discuss that State of the Nation address now that I'm still on you. President, as required by the Constitution, he has to address joint houses of Parliament and tell Kenyans where the country is now and going forward. He's already indicated part of his agenda, that he's going to be trying to push the MPs to enact a law for the enactment of what he called the infrastructure fund, a 1.5 trillion shilling fund. But he did not explain where the funds are going to be sourced from. It's either taxation or probably debt. Do you think that is fair, that you could just push members of Parliament to come up with a law without proper explanation where the funding is supposed to be coming from? And should MPs just take it up like that?
No, I don't think it is fair at all. And I think honorable members of Parliament ought to be more responsible. And just to answer your earlier question, that you had said that there are people who will go about, or they're about to go about, saying that Honorable Gachagua should be excluded. Article 193, sub-article 3 of the Constitution, 193, sub-article 3 states that no, you're not disqualified from getting onto the political platform until you have fully exhausted your appeal mechanism. That's a Constitution saying that. So he has court cases, and until Supreme Court finally determines with finality that that is the position of his impeachment or whatever the case may be, he is still open even to be on the ballot. Let's clarify that. Let's get that out of the way. Article 193, sub-article 3 of the Constitution. Now, coming to the State of the Nation address, this president, I don't know who his legal advisors are, and I don't know if the Honorable Attorney General has advised this president. Look, the State of the Nation address, you go and tell the Kenyan people what the Constitution tells you. Your international commitments, obligations that you have met. what happens here and how you have actually fulfilled and met the constitutional demands that are set out in the Constitution and what you are supposed to be doing about the human rights and protection of the fundamental freedom. You don't come and tell us about your infrastructure fund. That is not what the Constitution tells you. You don't have the liberty to do it. You are supposed to come and tell us that I went to New York and I got into some agreement with some company called BlackRock to sell off our minerals. I went on to France and I got into some financial commitment here so that we can have the digital currency in this world, in this country. And I never saw the approval of Parliament. That is what I'm coming to present to you in Parliament. That's what you're supposed to be telling us, so that we question him, who gave you the authority to do it? How is that you walk to New York, enter into these sideshows, some agreements, and you come and tell us we're supposed to have all-carrier digital data center? Who told you that that's what we want? Have we committed ourselves to it? Have we told you? And yet you have people here you're abducting, violating their human rights by the day, and some are disappearing without even change. That's murder, that's death. You are violating Article 26 of the Constitution. He has no authority. What will the MPs do? Go there, accept him, and then they will watch him, and then he will leave, walk away, and then they will begin to be, oh, you know the president said this, oh, you know the president says that, and they don't question him.
Don't you think it's an indication of the kind of confidence he has on his legislative agenda now that Raila Odinga is no longer there to influence ODM party directly? But William Ruto appears very confident to come up with a new plan, an infrastructure fund that could actually potentially increase the taxation on Kenyans. Don't you think that that portrays a very confident president in as far as his control of the Houses of Parliament?
I wouldn't say confident. I would say arrogant, condescending because Honorable Mutambo said here that, look, he goes to his Kamba people, and allow me to use that, tribal target. It's inevitable, I have to say. And he goes and denigrates, insults their leader, as it were. Let's call him the leader, Honorable Kalonzo, and the rest of the opposition. You are mindless people. You're fools. You have no brain. I mean, what sort of a leader is that? That is condescending. You cannot even say that that is confident. That is even prohibited under the Article 73 of the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act. What should he be doing? He should be a humble president leading, because he's supposed to be a servant leader, but not a dictator. So his confidence, as it were, that he's going to do is because he has, with respect, I'm not saying all members of the National Assembly are docile and out there just to accept and take whatever he places and throws on the table and, thank you, in a very docile, soprano tone. That's not the way it's supposed to be. They are supposed to be representing the Kenyan people. And I urge them, before he comes on for the nation address, let them read and familiarize themselves with the meaning, the scope, and the implications of a State of the Nation address. And if I were in Parliament, I would say, hey, wait, Mr. President, before you walk off, before you get off the podium, I want to ask you a couple questions, A, B, C, and D, and whatever. And I want to ask him about the people who disappeared, have never been even treated, because he is the ultimate person. Even the laws they are passing, the buck stops with him, as it were. He should never have signed that so-called law that they said about conflict of interest, because the conflict of interest tells you, you can step aside with full pay. Someone is accused of corruption. He's his government's, but he is the one penning it into law.
Okay.
He bears the buck.
All right. Finally, Bwana Mutambo, your final comments. State of the Nation address.
This is quite unfortunate because, as it is today, and like you have said, our shrewd president has mastered the heart of either bribing or bringing the members of parliament to his side by whichever means. Okay, the majority, let me say the majority, because not all of them. And because he knows they can do nothing but to sing or to dance to his tune, he can do whatever he wishes to do. Mm-hmm. And it is so sad because the people of Kenya have got no powers to react or to say anything against that, save of just going on the street. Right? And demonstrate against what he's planning to do. You wonder, when somebody tells you, we don't need rain, we need water. When he tells you, we don't need food, we need to eat. So when he tells you, you need development and don't ask about the money, then, because I believe I'm also a contributor to national development by paying my taxes, because that's what built my nation, right? So when you tell me, don't worry about the money, are you telling me I should stop paying taxes because our magical president will go and bring some numbers from where we don't know? I'm calling it magical because when you look at the history, you know, sometimes we need to look back and ask ourselves questions about people, right? This is a man who has been telling Kenyans, my job is to sell eggs and chicken. Mayai kidogo kidogo hapa na kuku, and we own billions. Which chickens are these which we don't farm?
Okay.
So there are questions we need to ask ourselves about a person. And when now he believes that money is the power and money is everything, then I am afraid that he would want to use that to do whatever you want to do. So whenever he's addressing the nation through parliament, it's unfortunate that the law does not allow members of parliament to question him, apart from sneaking in with whistles and just blow to him so you don't speak. But you cannot question and you cannot debate when he is talking because standing orders do not allow. Okay. That's the only unfortunate thing. But members can talk about his address after and they can discuss about it. It is quite unfortunate. I'm seeing whatever you want going through parliament because we don't have people. And with even though we are talking about Raila's exit, and asking whether if Raila was alive, could this happen? The hand says yes, because he was there, he was dining with him, and his members now are aligned to that line. So it's quite unfortunate.
All right. John Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, asante sana. Harrison Kinyanjui, advocate of the High Court, asante for your time, and James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, our panelists this morning on State of the Nation, taking a look at the big headlines, and we've discussed quite a lot from ODM to the by-elections, and of course State of the Nation address that we anticipate later this week by the President. Once more, a quick sweep through the dailies this morning. Wachezeana rafu ni habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo, kizungumzia masuala ya uchaguzi mdogo unaokuja wiki ijayo. People Daily, who will win the Mount Kenya votes? That is the same kind of setup on the front page of the Star 2027 epic race. Ruto numbers against Kalonzo and Gachagua, that my panelists do not agree with that analysis whatsoever. The Daily Nation, hackers paradise. Yes, they say they finally managed to contain it, but how bad was the damage? And police bribe racket on the front page of the Standard. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a State of the Nation. My name is Fred Indemuli. Good morning.